The evolution of a fracture in a relationship is rarely a sudden explosion. Instead, it is a slow, rhythmic erosion, the kind that happens when water drips onto stone for a decade. To understand the cheat story between men and women, one must look past the physical act and into the psychological architecture of the betrayal. The architecture of a secret. The story of Mark and Elena didn't begin with a stranger. It began with a series of micro-omissions. In the sociology of modern relationships, we often focus on the great betrayal, but the foundation is laid in the quiet withdrawals. For Mark, the shift began at a corporate conference in a city that smelled of rain and industrial exhaust. It wasn't a premeditated hunt. It was a conversation with a colleague, Sarah, that lasted 20 minutes longer than it should have. It was the discovery of a shared niche interest, something Elena had never quite understood. When Mark returned home, he didn't tell Elena about the conversation. That was the first brick in the wall. The psychology of the second life. When a man or woman begins to drift, they often create a compartmentalized identity. Mark wasn't just Mark the husband anymore. He was Mark the understood professional in Sarah's eyes. This duality is intoxicating. It allows a person to escape the responsibilities of their primary life, the bills, the domestic friction, the history, and step into a version of themselves that is untainted by reality. The digital shadow. In the modern era, the cheat story is written in blue light. The smartphone acts as a portable border. For Elena, the first sign wasn't a lipstick stain. It was the orientation of the device. The face-down protocol. A phone left face-down on a nightstand is a visual do not disturb sign. It signals that there is content within that is not for public consumption. The notification lag. When Mark began taking his phone into the bathroom or the kitchen for just a second, the digital shadow grew. The shift in syntax. In his messages to Sarah, Mark used emojis he never used with Elena. He adopted a shorthand that felt youthful, a linguistic rebellion against the adult language of his marriage. The gendered perspectives of betrayal. While every individual is different, psychological studies often suggest subtle differences in how men and women navigate the why of an affair. The male perspective, the search for competence. For many men, an affair isn't necessarily about seeking a new partner, but seeking a new reflection of themselves. In a long-term marriage, a man can feel like he is failing, as a provider, a father, or a partner. A third party offers a clean slate, where he is seen only as his best self. The cheat is an ego resuscitation, the female perspective. The search for connection. Conversely, many women describe the path to an affair as a slow starvation of intimacy. It begins when they feel their partner has stopped seeing them. The affair becomes a way to reclaim a sense of desirability and emotional visibility. It is less about the physical act and more about the conversation that precedes it. The anatomy of the dinner table. The climax of Mark and Elena's story happened over a plate of pasta. It was a Tuesday. The lighting in the kitchen was too bright, casting long, honest shadows. Mark's phone buzzed. In a healthy relationship, a buzzing phone is a non-event. In a fractured one, it is a grenade. Mark's refusal to check the phone was more incriminating than if he had opened it and laughed. Silence in this context is a confession. "You're not going to check that?" Elena asked. Her voice didn't shake, which was more terrifying to Mark than if she had screamed. "It's just a work group chat," Mark replied. This is the moment of gaslighting. To protect the secret, the cheater must make the partner doubt their own intuition. They label the partner as paranoid or insecure. This is often the most damaging part of the story, not the infidelity itself, but the systematic dismantling of the partner's reality. The 4,000-word silence. If this story were to reach its full length, it would detail the 3 months that followed. It would describe the overcompensation phase. Mark started buying gifts. He became hyper-attentive to the housework. This is the guilt tax, an attempt to balance the cosmic scales of his betrayal. The discovery. Elena didn't find a hidden letter. She found a credit card statement for a restaurant 40 miles away on a night Mark said he was in a meeting. The confrontation. The long circular arguments that lasted until 4 a.m. The why that never has a satisfying answer. The aftermath. The realization that trust is like a mirror. Once shattered, you can glue it back together, but the cracks will always reflect a distorted image. The reality of modern infidelity. Ultimately, the story of men and women in the cycle of cheating is a story of avoidance. It is easier to find a new person to